Hi, happy week, happy midweek. We are going to explore the concept of space today. So I'm going to head over to my mat. I have a bolster, but if you have a couple of pillows or a blanket that you can roll up, something with a little bit of density would be great. And I also have a stretch band, which I've actually already tied. And you can tie it up if you happen to have one of those loops. That's a great thing to use as well, because we'll be using it a little bit for some standing work. Okay, so like I said, we're going to be exploring the concept of internal space. Our body really craves space. Oftentimes the reason that we feel stress is because we feel really compressed or confined, pressure, either from the outside world or our own physical pressure. Injuries often happen because of lack of space, so the fluids that need to be moving through the body, the ligaments, tendons, and then the joints, the way they glide, because of the tightness or restriction and lack of space of those ligaments and tendons creates a restriction in the joints themselves. So we're going to be exploring space. And we're going to be exploring lateral. So a lot of times when we think, especially in our Pilates practice or our movement practice, we think about lengthening. And that lengthening can be really wonderful, and yet it can create its own form of stress and tightness. So in addition to thinking length, let's think about expanding out sideways. So if we're going to start expanding out sideways, let's start side bending. So I'm going to place my right hand down and my left arm up. So while I'm actually opening in a very kind of on a vertical and side bending plane, I'm actually creating room sideways in my rib cage. So in my mind's eye, my lungs are filling and opening. And as I exhale, I'm moving into my left side rib cage. And again, I'm breathing in and exhale, opening. As I do that, I need to anchor. My anchoring is through my sits bones, and that anchoring offers something for my body to anchor to, so it has something to stretch away from. And one more exhale, nice big side bend. Exhale, and then coming up, let's do the other side. So left hand down, right arm up, melting down through that right sits bone, lifting that right rib cage with the intention of creating side space in our body. So I'm actually physically feeling my ribs press against my muscles on the sides of my right side body here. Inhale and exhale. One more breath. Good, and then we come back up. All right, so from here we're going to do just a gentle twist. This creates the squeeze of the spine actually. So here we are compressing, creating a little bit of shortness. Here actually is where lengthening the body feels really beneficial. And add the width. So I'm widening my ribs as I spiral around. I might not go as big, because if I spiral too tightly, then I'm going to, like a towel, become really, really narrow. So I want to fill into my edges and then spiral around. Breathing in and breathing out. And come back through to the other side. We're just warming up the spine, bringing our focus into our inner body and expanding internally, breathing in all directions and breathing out. One more breath. Good, and then we're going to come to center. So from here, I would like us to lie on our backs, move your bolster out of the way, and maintain that idea of spaciousness. So as I'm lying back, I'm not only thinking about lengthening from my tail to my head, but I'm also thinking about occupying my rib space sideways on my mat. So my left rib cage moves left, my right rib cage moves right, and they move away from my midline. And knowing my midline, my center line, really is beneficial for creating lateral space. Otherwise, when I pull to the right with my breath, my whole spine moves over. So I want my spine to stay in the center and feel that lateral spaciousness. So I'm breathing into my side ribs. I can even put my hands on my rib cage And exhale. Squeezing the ribs just naturally with that exhalation. Inhale, widening again. And exhalation. My hands are just here as a little feedback device and also to assist my ribs to close and to have something for my ribs to breathe into. One more breath, inhale. And exhale. Good. So from this position, go ahead and interlace your fingers at the base of your skull. And I'd like for you to visualize the back rib cage sinking back into the mat and widening sideways across the mat. On my next exhale, I'm going to keep my pelvis anchored, but I'm going to curl up with my ribs. So my pelvis stays stable, but my ribs are mobilizing. And instead of coming up as high as I can, I'm actually intending to be as wide as I can and curl up at the same time. So I'm expanding my side ribs. Inhale, coming back. Exhale, expanding my side ribs as I curl up. So my intention isn't to come as high as I can, but maintain this idea of stretching as wide as I can. The body loves to find new places to move, discovering new places internally. So there's this huge landscape inside the body, and we become so accustomed to moving the body in the same way with this same mental construct so often. So here we're expanding our mental construct, we're inviting in a new idea. And as we're doing that, we're doing a traditional movement and seeing how those two kind of marry. Can I widen with that new idea, and yet can I curl with that very old necessary contraction of the core? Two more, widening my ribs as I curl up, inhaling as I lie back. It's harder because I'm using new muscles to stay wide. Now I'm going to continue to stay wide with my rib cage, but I'm going to narrow my feet and I'm going to twist around to my left, so it's my left, and I'm widening through my right side rib cage. And instead of just trying to wrap my right side around my left side body, I'm really keeping my ribs as wide as possible as I spiral around. And I come back to center, and I spiral to the opposite side. And I'm noticing my legs wanting to veer apart. Keep those legs together. So my ribs are wide. The left side is widening away from the right side is widening away from the left, and yet I'm on a rotation, so the axis of my body is moving. And other side. And I'm noticing just a subtle but very distinct different sensation in this contraction as I maintain the width of my body. And other side. And one more. And last time over to the right. And bringing that back down. So we're going to maintain that same idea in the bridge. Widen your feet just a sitting bone distance apart. Inhaling, breathing width into the space of the rib cage. As I exhale, I'm going to curl up into my bridge. And as I'm curling, I'm very aware of and cognizant of the relationship from my foot to my head. And I'm going to start playing with the sides of my body. So I'm actually going to shift my ribs to my right, staying up in my bridge, not letting my body tilt, so there's no collapsing. There's just an expansion to the right and an expansion to the left, and expand and move to the right. So I'm feeling a big stretch on my outer right hip and pelvic area all the way into my side body and over to my left. One more time, over to the right, and last time over to the left, and then coming to center and rolling down. Now we're going to turn the body. So I want you to turn your spine to your left. You're going to bridge up in that left diagonal. Come through the middle. Spiral over to the right. So keep the width of your ribs and then roll down the right side of your spine all the way back to neutral. Inhale over to the right. So you'll even feel your hips make a different relationship. I'm on my right butt cheek, my left butt cheek is off. My right hip bone is really anchored into the mat while my left one is getting a stretch. I'm curling up on the right side of my body, moving through the middle, very, very distinctly knowing that I'm moving through the middle. And then I swivel my hips to my left and I roll down the left side of my spine. I'm trying to not let my knees sway too much and come back to center one more time each side. So activate your core. I haven't talked a lot about the core because I want us to not always go to the most traditional, right? We're not kind of working those well-worn grooves. We're really bringing in the concept of something new and interesting and feeling that core show up. So I'm tipping to my left. In order to tip to my left, I can feel my deep obliques working below my belly button. I'm gonna bridge up that left side body. Yep, so my right side is tilted up, my belly button is pointed to the left. Then I'm going to turn my pelvis and my spine so that my belly button points to the ceiling, and then it keeps pointing, turning to the right, and then I'm rolling down on that right side, all the way back to center. And one more time, over to the right, bridging up on that right side, all the way to the left, and rolling down. Ooh, I got a nice little crack in my spine, and then come back to center. Okay, let's continue with the idea of spaciousness with your legs in tabletop. Place your hands on the bottom of your rib cage and take the bottoms of your rib bones and pull them wide, gently wide across your mat, sideways. So I think of the capital letter A, the bottom border of the A, or you can think it upside down V, the bottoms of that A are going to get gently pulled apart, and as I widen, that's my psoas widening and anchoring the back of my rib cage. And here I go, I'm gonna tap my right foot down and bring it up, and left foot down and bring it up. So again, very traditional toe tap, but focusing on the width and the anchoring backwards of my rib cage. And tap and bring it up. Melt those shoulders. If keeping your hands on your ribs is making your shoulders go up to your ears, just relax your arms. Maybe you could put a towel at the back of your rib cage to remind you to keep those rib corners wide. Inhale down, exhale up. 2 more. 1 more. Okay, the doozy, double legs. I'm not going to be able to go so far because I'm expanding sideways, so my body's attention, a lot of the muscle focus and attention is being placed in widening my rib cage. My success isn't based on can my toes touch, it's can I maintain my wide ribs, using my deep abdominals and pelvic floor to stabilize this midline of my body so that when I widen my ribs, I can really feel that great expansion. It's very powerful. 2 more. Inhale down, exhale. Wide ribs to come up. Careful to not let the tips of those, that V or that A narrow up. Keep it nice and wide and bring it back up. Good job. All right. So from here, we're going to interlace the fingers at the base of the skull. We're going to repeat that. Now you know kind of what to expect. We're going to repeat the curl, keeping wide, and then we'll go right into the toe taps, keeping wide. All right, so here we are. My feet are going to actually be nice and close together. I'm widening through my rib cage, inhaling, feeling the filling into my body. Exhale, imprinting the back rib cage as I curl up, maintaining the wide of that capital letter A. Here we go, 9 more. Exhale, 1. Keep it wide. 2, don't worry about how high. Yes, reach the crown of your head, but also reach the outer edges of your ribs. 3, so those ribs are occupying full space on your mat. 4, and 5. That transverse abdominis does widen, and it has the power to create space in the body for our organs. And 7, 2 more. 8, and 9, 10. Good. I'm going to come down, place my hands down by my side, feel the back ribs, immediately bringing right and left leg up to tabletop. I'm gonna tap, inhale, exhale, bringing it up. Maintain that capital letter A, the bottom borders of the A at the bottom of the rib cage. Keep those rib bones wide, 2, and 3. If you want to level up, you're curled up, but still staying wide, 4, and 5. Keep those ribs wide, 6, and 7, and 8. This is harder than it looks, 9, because that focus is there, and 10. Good job. Double legs. Here we go. 1, 2. I'm co-contracting. So I've got my pelvic floor, deep abdominals working. That for me is a constant. Widening through my ribs. 3, 4, 5. Let's actually stay up here and twist. So if you were down and you were doing double legs, come on up, join us. We're going to keep those ribs wide and we're going to spiral around. 1. Keep the width as you transition. 2. Maintain the width as you come across the body. 3. And 4. Good job. I'm telling it to myself and keeping you motivated and keeping you inspired to stay wide. 5. On to the right side and come on down. Whew. So very different expansion into those obliques. That was really wonderful. Okay, so we're gonna come on up. So we're gonna play with that same idea, standing up. I'd like for you to take a strap. I'm gonna actually tilt my camera up. And we're gonna play with this in squats. So often when we're squatting, we're so busy focusing on what our legs are doing that we forget that really what keeps the leg load light and keeps our joints really healthy is the consistent use of our core. Our core, again, doesn't just take things up, we want it to go up and wide, right? So that widening creates extra muscle tone, which gives it even deeper support. So you're gonna grab your strap, wrap it around your legs. So if you have one, not tied together yet, grab it. Mine is a green resistance, so it's medium to heavy. And I'm going to crisscross the strap, tie it in a bow so it comes out easily. And I'm gonna move my bolster out of my way so I don't trip on it. Okay, so again, widening, right? And this strap is here to remind you to expand. The femur bones in their sockets, the head of the femur is pulled a little bit laterally in the space. We don't want it jammed and compressed right into the midline. It lives a little bit to the side and back, right? So it hits right to the sides of the pubic bone, just about an inch or so on either side. So I'm standing up. And as I bend, I want to fold at my hip, right? I'm not rounding my back. I'm sitting like I'm sitting back into a chair. And I'm keeping my knees wide. This is cutting into my skin a little bit. Okay, I'm keeping my knees wide as my feet. And I'm coming down in my squat. I don't want my legs to buckle in. I don't want to over rotate and press them out and come back up. And inhale, exhale. Can you lift up through your core and widen those ribs? Inhale, exhale. 3, push the floor away from you. Inhale, exhale. 4, inhale, exhale. 5. We're gonna do single leg squats in a moment, so feel the stability of the double legs and already imbue that stability into your core. 7, 8, push the floor down, push the floor away as you stand up. 9, and 10. All right, so for single leg, you're gonna take your left leg, that's my right leg, left leg back, still widening. So when I come down, I don't want my right knee to buckle across. I don't want it to go too far wide, same with the back leg. The strap is helping me stay in alignment. 1. And when I look down, I wanna see that my right knee just goes in line with my toes, not beyond. 3, keep it wide. Keep these hip muscles nice and strong. 4, 5, lift from your core, not just from your legs. Every time, core goes up. 6, and wide. 7, 8, 2 more. 9, push the floor down, and 10. Step forward with the left leg, step back with the right leg. Keep it wide, here we go. And 1, and by wide, I mean don't let those knees cross the midline. 2, 3, 4, and 5, 5 more. 6, you'll feel a little bit of work in those outer hips. 7, 8, 2 more. 9, and 10. Good, standing all the way up. So we're gonna do side steps. We're gonna take 3. I'd like for you to keep your knees slightly bent. And again, we're working the sides of the hips as we go out. When you look down, your toes should be pointed forward. Your knees should be as wide as your feet. And resist the strap. It's trying to slam your legs shut. Resist the strap as you land. 2, and 3. Good, look down. What are your feet looking like? What are your knees looking like? Here we go, over to the right side. 1, 2, and 3. If you need to look at your feet while you're doing this initially, so that you're sure that your toes are pointed forward, your knees are pointed forward, you're welcome to do that, all the while lifting your core muscles, widening those ribs. One more time. And 3, last time. 1, and 2, stay with it, and 3. Okay, we're gonna do the squats again, one more set. Set your knees up, set your feet up. Here we go, inhale, exhale. 1, 2, 3. So I'm feeling it in my glutes. 4, because I'm really pushing the floor away. I'm even shaking a little bit in my body. 5, 6, 7, pressing down and out, but still pressing down through the big toe balls of my feet. 8, so my arches are neutral. They're not high or low. 9, last one. 10, here we go, single leg. Right leg forward, left leg back. Keep those knees as wide as the hips. As you come down, hold that alignment. Your hips should be starting to get tired. 1, 2, use your core. 3, 4, 5, and 6, 7. Keep the width, keep the spaciousness. 8, 9, and 10. Changing legs. Right foot forward, left leg back. Excuse me, left foot forward, right leg back. Here we go. And 1, 2. Keep the width, keep the spaciousness. 3. Don't let the resistance of the band buckle your legs. 4. Lifting up through your abdomen. 6, 7, and 8. 2 more. 9, last one. 10. Good job. Okay, so we're gonna take that off. Whew, that feels good. I can really feel my side hips. Okay, so from this position, we're gonna go back to lying on our stomachs, finishing up with just a little bit of spaciousness as we do some of our back extension exercises. So I'm gonna move my screen down again. Here we go. So no props for this one, right? Just your body. And I'd like for you to inhale and breathe wide into the side ribs. Feel your feet just as narrow as your sits bones, not as so wide that they're wider than the mat, and not necessarily squeezed together. Give some space. Give some space, haha. Bring the pelvic floor and the deep abdominals in and up. so you can feel the tone of the front of your abdominals. But remember, we're going wide. So as I come up with my right leg, I'm lifting my right leg. It's in line with my body. In other words, it's not veering off to the right, but I'm really widening my ribs in my mind's eye, and I'm using my abdominals to pull them wide, like taffy getting pulled wide. Yes, I'm reaching through the crown of my head, but I'm finding that spaciousness and keeping balance in my hips. I'm bringing that right leg down and left leg. So explore. Do I lose the focus of the width of the ribs as I raise my leg? Or can I maintain the two, widen my ribs and raise my leg and bring that down? Right leg up and down. Left leg up and down. And 8 and down. Up and down. And when you're lifting, you want to lift from your hamstring and glute, not the back of the knee or the calf. It's the hamstring and glute. So really feeling where the butt and the thigh meet. It's called the gluteal fold. 5 more each side. Keep the spaciousness. 4 and 3. Melt the shoulders down and wide. And 2. Last 1. Good job. And now both legs are going to come up and down and up and down. Can you keep the width in the ribs, but keep those legs parallel? 4. Oh yeah, there come the hamstrings right now. 5 and 6. Melt the shoulders down and wide. 7, 8. 2 more. 9 and 10. Good job. Bring that down. We're going to come up onto all fours. We're going to round the back, coming through flexion. And instead of just thinking of the arch from the head to the tail, can you feel your tissue widen across your body? So your back actually spreads out wide to the right side and the left side. The back muscles spread open away from the center of the spine. Those are your erectors. And then deeper to that are your deep intrinsic spinal muscles. Those ones also are widening and spreading out. And then I'm arching. Can I stay wide with my back muscles even as I move into gentle extension? It's just a different focus, that's all. Curl. If we crave space in outside of our body, kind of space to think, space to move, space to be, we can find that space internally, and we can practice finding space inside our body. That's such a wonderful thing about working the body. You can find what you're looking for outside within your body and play with it internally. That's where the healing arts come in. That's where the moving arts come in, right? And then come back to center. So we're going to come into plank. If you'd like to be planking on your knees, you're welcome to do that. If you'd like to plank all the way up onto your feet, you're welcome to do that. Really, all we're going to do is squeeze our shoulder blades together and then press and widen our shoulder blades on our back. If you need to come down on your knees, we're going to do 9 more of these. You're welcome to do that. The other option, forearms, right? So be wise with your body. I'm going to stay up in full plank the whole time, but please use the option that works for you, either on your forearms and your knees, forearms and feet, or knees and hands, or hands and feet. Okay, here we go. Melt the shoulder blades towards each other. Visualize those windows closing. Exhale, pull the windows wide. 1 and 2. We're not going up to our head with our shoulders. They're staying down and wide. 3 and 4. Ooh, this is a lot of work. Stay in your core. 5, you need the width of those ribs to support your spine. 6, come down in your knees if you need to. Push. 7, widening across the body. 8, 2 more. 9, last one. 10, press your way up to Pilates inverted V. And again, work the width of your shoulder blades. Feel them wrap from the center of your spine, wide away from the center of the spine, around to the outside of the rib edges. One big breath here. Exhale, big breath, wide fingers, wide feet, wide back tissue, and come back down. One more exercise, coming down. Okay, you're going to stack your hands one on top of the other again. On your next exhale, keep the pubic bone anchored down, widen through the rib cage, in addition to widening across the abdominal cavity, and float up. So options, hands down, just your forehead floats up. That's first option. Option 2 is hands attached to each other, and then they attach to the forehead so that as you float up, your elbows, forearms, and hands are coming up as you float up, and keep the width and come down. But make sure the shoulders are not up to the ears. All right, so those are your upper body options. In the meantime, your legs are going to come up and down like they did in the last exercise. So we're kind of putting 2 exercises together. Here we go, 10 of these. And I'm going to inhale actually to come up. So I really fill my ribs, exhale, coming down. It's even a different breathing pattern. Inhale, exhale, 2, inhale. Shoulders coming down, exhale, 3, and the inhalation is there to widen your armpits away from each other, widen your lungs away from each other, 4, inhale as you come up, exhale, 5, don't worry about height, inhale, 6, just hover inch or 2 off the floor is perfectly fine, 7, and inhale, 8, 2 more, 9, last one, inhale, 10, good job, totally different focus, press your way up onto all fours. Let's go into child's pose and go sideways. So I'm reaching my hands over to the right side of my mat, my forehead comes down, and I'm really elongating through my left side body, with the intention of opening up that left side rib cage, so creating lateral space. Not just getting longer, getting wide through the tissue. The widening of the tissue creates more lubrication. The more lubrication we have, that interstitial fluid runs through where it's supposed to, in between all the fibers of the body. And that kind of healthy flow of water and movement, interstitial fluid, just helps the body feel better. It helps to circulate more blood into the area. With more blood, we can be more effective with the movements we make because everything is being nourished. And come back up. When the body feels nourished, it feels complete. It doesn't keep reaching for more. So it's a really great way actually to view self-care, kind of taking care of the body in the sense of nourishing the body through muscle movement and massage or whatever else kind of movement you do. Okay, finishing with the side bend. Good. And again, now that you've got this concept, you're really widening into your space. Yes, and coming up and widening to the other side. Good, and coming all the way up. Okay, have a wonderful day, and I encourage you to practice this as often as possible, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye, everyone.